Hey hockey players, Coach Garner here from hockeytraining.com. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 1 of the brand new Ask Coach Garner series. In this, we're going to be forcing me to talk a little bit less because we're going to take your guys' questions each and every single episode, and I have to answer them in less than 90 seconds or else I just get cut off. So I'm on the clock, but I want to provide you guys as much value as I possibly can, and I want to answer your specific questions so that I can help each and every single one of you out there. Let's get episode 1 on and going. Clock starts when I finish answering the question. First question I got. What do you think about high-intensity interval training kettlebell workouts for hockey players? High-intensity interval training in general can be beneficial for hockey players, but you never want to attach yourself to one tool. A tool is only ever as good as it is applied. Coaches who know training program design have skills, whereas tools are just tools. You don't see carpenters get certified in the screwdriver or certified in the wrench or certified in the drill. Instead, they're a skilled carpenter and they know how to use the right tool at the right time. So kettlebells are excellent and they can be used, but it shouldn't be your only modality for high-intensity interval training. Sprints, bikes, dumbbells, body weight. There's so many different ways to tackle this. So kettlebell swings, kettlebell split squats, kettlebell goblet squats, these are all great ways to incorporate, great exercises to incorporate into an interval program, but don't marry yourself to a tool because you can only get a result from a tool for so long before you have to change the modality. Next question. Hey Dan, how are you this morning? I'm doing pretty good, man. Sorry for my English, but I would like to know how many reps of squats I have to do to be a faster skater. Do you have more exercise I can do in my home because I don't have time to go to the gym? John. Okay, so time starts now. So when it comes to this, how many reps of squats do I have to do in the gym to be a faster skater? This is tough because a squat is a very general exercise and it can be applied in a lot of different ways. In one program, you may be using squats to gain structural balance. In another program, you may be using squats to build your absolute strength. In another program, you may be using squats to build your relative strength. And in another program, you may be using squats to enhance your power output to build more explosive speed out in the ice. So it's not how many reps of squats should I do to get faster. The magic is in the implementation because reps for hypertrophy are different than reps for power or different than reps for strength. So instead of just trying to apply one exercise all wide, I can't do that for you. So getting on a real hockey training program is something you really want to do. And that's really the only way in which I can answer that because everything I just said is equally important and intertwined into one periodization system. So I can't answer that for you, my friend, unfortunately. Next question you had was, do you have more exercises I can do in my home because I don't have time to go to the gym? Yes, if you go to athockeytraining.com/programs, we have the at-home follow-along program, we have the body weight only program, and we also have the 9-minute workout program. Those are all hockey-specific training programs that answer your question of how much should I do, and you can do it at home. Next question, moving on. Next question here is, how many times should I train a week when I have hockey at least 5 times a week? Okay, so how many times should you train a week if you have hockey 5 times a week? Thinking about this one right now, it depends on 2 big things. It depends on your work capacity and it depends on your recovery capacity. These are 2 different things because you aren't what you can perform. You only are what you can recover from. So you need a high level of work capacity and you need a high level of recovery capacity. And it depends on the intensity of the training on ice. So if you're on the ice 5 times a week and it's fairly intense, I would have you doing dry land work 2 to 3 times a week. But if it's very intense, you would do dry land work 1 to 2 times per week. But if it's pretty easy, I'd have you doing your dry land training 3 to 4 times per week. Next question. My daughter is just over 13 years old. I believe she needs to start doing weights and training to take her game to the next level and pay attention to her nutrition. How can I help her from home? Okay, you can definitely help her from home by going to hockeytraining.com/programs and checking out the youth programs that we have there. She doesn't need weights, especially if she hasn't hasn't experience in hockey training before, you can go a long ways with body weight only training, especially at that age. So don't think you need to get in the weights in order to get a result, because body weight training programs are incredibly effective at increasing hockey performance, provided they're created appropriately. They're some of the most popular programs we've ever released are the bodyweight only ones. So if she has no training experience, go with a bodyweight only program. And when it comes to the nutrition, getting too deep into calories and macros and nutrient timing at that age is something you don't want to do. So the two things you can do is simply make sure you're drinking lots of water and make sure you get a protein source at each meal of the day. Those two things are going to cover a lot of the bases and not reinforce any negative food behaviors surrounding what foods are good or bad. It's something you don't want to do at that age. So body weight training at home and then just protein and water throughout the day, you're going to be doing a lot. Next question. What are your training recommendations for goalies? Goalies are a different animal than players, right? You can't train a goalie the same way you train the defenseman, the same way you train the forwards. They've got a lot of different needs. So they need to have a large emphasis on mobility and stability. They need a large emphasis on lateral power and lateral strength. And they also need quite a large emphasis on eccentric strength of the back, because they're holding a very low position for very longer periods of the game. So at hockeytraining.com/programs, we have the Engineered Shutouts program, which is a multiple month goalie specific training program. But when it comes to goalies in general, they should be weight training about 3 times per week, and then also doing a couple of mobility sessions exclusively on top of that. And then their conditioning should be completely different than the other players. Goalies should be focused on explosive alactic power and alactic capacity, and they really don't need much of any lactic, say, suicide runs or sprints, not near as much as other players. So that's what I can answer on the surface level for goalies for you. Next question here is daily routine for supplements. Daily routine for supplements for hockey athletes, it kind of varies and it depends on your goal. Like I said previously, a tool is only ever as good as it is implied within a program. But hockey athletes can benefit from a few things. So when you look at the game of hockey, it is a glycolytic sport, and it's also a phosphagen-driven sport. So glycolytic, meaning hockey athletes are primarily utilizing carbohydrates to drive their anaerobic performance on the ice. But phosphagen, or creatine phosphate, is another energy substrate that is being utilized for a hockey athlete's explosive power. So carbohydrate powder and creatine are both excellent options for hockey athletes, as is beta-alanine. Creatine at about 5 grams a day, beta-alanine at 4 to 6 grams per day, carbohydrate powder on an as-needed basis. And then for maintenance of good health and athletic performance, it's smart for hockey athletes to also have vitamin D, magnesium, and a fish oil product every day. I would consider those to be the core supplements for hockey athletes. And then if you had very unique goals or you were in a unique metabolic situation, we would add more on top of that. But that would be the core. Last question of episode number 1 is, how many times should I be working on training off ice during a week? This changes throughout the year, and this is really what periodization is all about. A lot of people overcomplicate periodization, but periodization is really just the gathering of different physical qualities we know from sports science and putting them in the proper order that they should be in, so that you can peak come playoffs, or peak come tryouts, or peak come the beginning of the next season. We periodize, we look at the whole year as a whole to make sure our phasic structure of training covers absolutely everything. But in order to cover everything in different contexts, we have to apply different strategies. So during the season, you're only going to be in there 2 to 3 times per week. Right after the season, in your active recovery phase, you're also going to only be in there maybe 1 to 3 times per week. But in the off season, as your periodization starts gradually building you up and turning you into a hockey performance machine by the time the next season starts, you should be in the gym anywhere from 4 to 6 days per week doing hockey-specific training to boost your performance. All right? Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed episode 1, season 1 of Ask Coach Garner. Let us know in the comments section if you have any more questions for us. This is something new that we're going to be bringing around, and provided on how the popularity goes, we might increase how often we do this, or we may do it once a month. Who knows? You guys let us know what you want. Let me know what questions that you want answered, and I will answer them for you on Ask Coach Garner. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And for more information on hockey training, go to hockeytraining.com.